Jared Rosenholtz here with CarBuzz.com, and today I am extra lucky to be bringing you a review of the 2018 Mercedes S-Class convertible. This happens to be the S63 AMG model, so that is the second most powerful model in the AMG pantheon. You can get the S65 convertible, which comes with a twin-turbo V12 engine, although that engine is actually older and mated to an older transmission than this car. So if you want the fastest AMG S-Class that money can buy, it's actually going to be this car. Around back here we can see our S63 badge, we can hear our lovely V8 rumble, and because this is an S63, the 2018 is now powered by a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. That's right, the 63 in the name really doesn't have much to do with the engine displacement. It is now a 4-liter, much like many other AMG products, including the C63 and E63. Although this one is actually a bit more powerful than some of those cars. There you can see our bi-turbo 4MATIC Plus. That means we have all-wheel drive on this car. And this V8 is pumping out a ton of horsepower, 603 horsepower, mated to an all-new 9-speed automatic transmission. Yep, you heard that right, 9-speed automatic, whereas the S65 makes do with just a 7-speed transmission. So this is actually the most advanced S-Class that you can buy. I'm going to take you inside where we will see what I believe to be the most exclusive, gorgeous, stunning interior that I think is possible to buy at almost any class. I have the AC running because it is a very, very hot day indeed here in Florida for a convertible top. I'm going to go ahead and shut the door. Turn these fans down with these beautiful, beautiful air vents here. They're just these circular balls. They are, of course, metal. They are not plastic as you would find in most normal cars, and they can be tilted in any direction. You can even shut them off using this gorgeous little metal piece here that feels like it came off a very high-priced audio system. It's very, very nice. I'm going to go ahead and shut the door. As I said, soft closed doors. You don't actually have to slam the door shut. Just bring it close and it will do the rest, and it will even present you with your seatbelt so that you don't have to reach back there and grab it. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look. I can turn these fans about as low as they go. I'm going to leave them on just a little bit because of how hot it is today. And I'm going to take you through this gorgeous set of 12.3-inch screens here. We have our driver display here. That's going to show our tachometer, speedometer, and you can actually customize this to show any number of things. You can put up a G meter, you can put up a power and torque meter. You can just customize this endlessly. There's actually 3 designs. So I have it now set to sport mode, where you have your tachometer and speedometer here in the middle, and then you have your information on either side. You can actually cater that to be more of a normal setup where you have your tach on one side and your speedo on the other as well. Over here we have our main display. That's where your radio functions, navigation functions, all of that is going to be handled, and there are a bunch of different ways that you can control that. I'm actually using, on the steering wheel here, we have these little black tabs. They look like buttons, but what they really do is you can swipe, and that will actually cause the screen to swipe, almost like a little touch display. It's very, very easy to use. It kind of reminds me of the little knob there used to be on Blackberries way back in the day. There's one on this side as well, and that can be used to control the display up here. So as you can see, I have the nav currently on the right. I can set that to the date. I can set that to the date with what gear I'm in. I can set that to my tire pressures. You can have all of your track information up here, although I doubt too many people are going to be bringing their $200,000 convertible to the track. You can have a G meter. You can have all of these amazing things on here. You can also control all of it through two different controllers down here. We have this little spaceship looking thing that is a trackpad with a home button, a fast forward, and a back button. So you can push home and you can sort of swipe and do all sorts of controls on here, and that will control this screen as well. And then of course you have the now old style Mercedes command. This knob twists, it bumps left, right, up, and down, so you can use that to control the screen as well. There's a bunch of home buttons as well. You have your home button, your back button, all of that here, and you can use that to control the screen as well. We have our gorgeous start button. I'm going to try and get as close up as I can with the camera here. It actually looks like a little gear. It's really pretty, and it lights up at night. And then also down here near the controls, we have some shortcut buttons. We have for our seat controls, of course, these are dual heated, ventilated, and massaging seats. We have our nav, radio, media, telephone, and then some of our car settings, which I'm going to show you up here. So here we have all of our massage settings. I currently have it set to high intensity, and I'm going to give myself a nice classic massage. Very nice. It feels great. Although I think the Volvo system is actually a little better than this. A little more firm on the massage. We have all of our controls here. We have our dynamic package where you can display your engine data. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that. So that'll tell you how much horsepower and torque your engine is producing at any given moment, which is very cool to see. You can also pull up a quarter-mile timer and 0 to 60 timer. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. That's going to be in our track pack. I've used this actually before, and I recorded a 0 to 60 run. This car, with its 603 horsepower, is supposed to be able to do 60 miles an hour in 3.4 seconds. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts how fast this car can go. I'm going to go ahead and look at my history. I didn't manage 3.5, but with the top down and the road being just a little bit wet, I did manage a 4.05 second 0 to 60. So I think if you're a professional driver, you should be able to get under 3.5 seconds in this convertible. It's unbelievable, the fact that a car with massaging seats and all of this comfort can do 0 to 60 faster than supercars from just a few years ago. This is actually just as quick as a Mercedes SLR McLaren, and that car cost way more than this when it was new. We have over here a lot of our driving controls. So we have our automatic steering, our lane keep assist, our park controls. We have our night vision camera, which is really special on this car. So you can see here, it doesn't work that well in the day. And I found it to be sort of distracting, but you can definitely get used to it. And that'll pick out animals and pedestrians in the road. It's kind of a gimmick, but it's very cool. And you do not see that on cars of a lesser price tag. And of course, the steering goes well with the adaptive cruise control. So you can kind of just let the car do its thing and relax a little bit while you drive. Although you do have to keep your hands on the wheel. It's not like Cadillac's Super Cruise system that will let you take your hands off the wheel. We have the Designo package, which I believe is about $1,700. It adds this nice crystal on the interior here. The S-Class Coupe actually has a different interior than the sedan. This entire dashboard actually looks different than what you'll find on an S-Class sedan. Very expensive to do that, but this is a very expensive car, so Mercedes was very smart to give it its own bespoke interior. And this slides down to reveal some cup holders and your 12-volt outlet here. Pretty standard on a normal car. And here in this little cubby, we have our ashtray and things like that. And then another interesting feature is going to be over here in the glove box. If I go ahead and open this up, you're going to see this little jar. I can go ahead and take that out for you. It's just this little jar, and there's some liquid in there. And basically, you put that in the slot. You can buy this at your Mercedes dealership, and that will disperse a nice a nice wafty smell throughout the car to keep it nice and fresh. It's not like super strong like you just walked through a perfume department at a department store, but it is nice enough to keep the car smelling fresh. I'm going to go ahead and open the door so you can see this beautiful streaked wood. This is part of an optional package on this car. Unfortunately, it does not come standard. A lot of people might be tempted to do carbon fiber, but I think this, it goes across the whole dashboard and it looks beautiful when it's lit up at night. You can pick different colors. I would much rather have this than the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber is just a dime a dozen. A lot of sports cars have it now, but this beautiful streaked wood is just absolutely beautiful. And here's that nice Burmester audio. It's about $6,400. Do I think it's worth it? You know, on a car like this, you might as well go big or go home. The system sounds amazing unless you're listening to satellite radio, which is not a great format, so it just sounds kind of crunchy. But this stereo is definitely one of, if not the best I've heard, the Burmester audio. $6,400, you know, this car bases at around 176. I say you might as well go for it. And interestingly, this car is only about 6 inches shorter than a Chevy Tahoe, but back here, the legroom is not that great. Although getting into the back seat is super easy. You see I just pulled this metal handle and the seat automatically does what it needs to do to get as far away as possible so that you can just hop right in. And back here, there's nothing too special. We do have the optional heating package, so these seats are heated, although they are not ventilated or massaged or anything like that. That would be a little too much to ask even at this price range. You do have two 12-volt outlets here to charge your devices, and if we do fold down this nicely leather-wrapped center console, we do have some cup holders back here for the rear occupants, and we have some beautiful, beautiful Burmester. We have our nice speaker grill right here that matches the rest of the interior, and even the people back here get to enjoy this nice wood with all these beautiful, beautiful lines. It's really nice sitting back here. It's really not too uncomfortable, although you'd expect that a car this size and this expensive would have a little bit bigger of a back seat. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the trunk, which is sort of interesting. The way that you open it, of course, you can open it from the key or from the inside, but if you're just around back, you just push the Mercedes emblem and the trunk will automatically raise. It's not a super large trunk either. I think a lot of this car's size is taken up by the enormous hood. And you see there is a cover here. That's so you can put the convertible top down. If you want to get rid of that, you just push this button and it will retract on its own, which is very, very cool. You don't even have to pull on anything. You just let it go. And there it goes down. I'm going to go ahead and take the window sticker out so that you can just get a look at this. It's very, very fun to just see 200. Let's see if it focuses on it. If not, the full sticker price is $208,645 as optioned. The base price is just a tick over $180,000 on this car. So yeah, you are buying quite an expensive car, but it may be worth it. This is one of the most special cars I've driven. As far as optional equipment, we do have the $750 night styling package. We have our 20-inch AMG wheels. Those are $1,700. They look amazing. There are those nice center locks that you get on a lot of the Mercedes. I really, really love the way this looks. You have your night vision assist, that is $2,200. You have that Burmester audio system, that's $6,400. And then you have some carbon fiber on the outside. That's $2,200. It's very subtle. You can see it down here by the exhaust, and you can also see it over here on the mirror caps. There's some carbon fiber there. And then, of course, down here by the splitter, you're also going to have some nice carbon fiber. And then we have that driver assistance package that's going to give you adaptive steering, the lane change assist, emergency braking, cross traffic alert. I kind of wish that was standard on a car of this price, but that's $2,200, and the total price of all of the options is going to bring us up to that $208,000 figure. Now I'm going to show you the convertible top here. We have this gorgeous AMG emblem stitched into the glove box. This glove box will actually open both ways. I'm going to open it towards the driver and pull on this tab, and that's going to go ahead and open our top. I'm going to go ahead and tilt the camera so that you can see this top going down. And it's just going to close nice and conveniently. Of course, you don't have to do anything. And then if I push one of these buttons in here, that's going to go ahead and raise up the automatic wind deflector. And then you're going to get this wind deflector up here. This kind of bulges out from the window. It's very, very good. With all of the windows up, it really is a nice place to sit, even when you're driving with the top down. There's not too much wind distracting you. It really, and you just get that exhaust really loud when you put it in race mode. It sounds amazing with the top down. I'm going to go ahead and give you a tour now that the top is down. I think I prefer the coupe ever so slightly to this car. I'm just more of a coupe guy, although I do love convertibles, and I think the S-Class convertible is just still one of the prettiest cars on sale, even including the supercars. This thing is just lovely to behold. I think the lines just work so well. I think the proportions, it just looks so elegant. We just saw Mercedes reveal their new, BMW just revealed their new 8 Series coupe, and this car is actually a couple years old now. It's been on the market for a few years, and I think it looks better. That may be a matter of opinion. You may really like the new BMW 8 Series, but I think this car just looks really, really good. I wasn't a huge fan of this new grille. It's appearing on a lot of Mercedes-AMG products, including the new AMG GT. It debuted on the AMG GTR, I believe, and it's supposed to harken back to Mercedes race cars. But seeing it in person, it just looks unbelievable. It's hard to tell with this car, but it's actually a green. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. You can see there, it's that nice metal flake green. It's called emerald green, and I love the color because it looks so subtle, and I love the way it combines with that brown leather. And if this car wasn't impressive enough sitting still, when you get behind the wheel, it really starts to impress. So now what I'm going to do is get behind the wheel, and I'm going to show you how it drives. Right, so now I'm behind the wheel, and the first thing to do when you're testing any AMG Mercedes is to see how fast it accelerates. For that, I'm going to go ahead and use this little rocker switch. That'll switch the car between its different modes. It has individual, comfort, sport, sport plus, and race mode. Race mode is going to put everything as hardcore as it goes and put the transmission in manual mode. I'm going to leave it in sport plus because I think the car can probably shift better than I can by myself. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the traction control, which is going to make it as fast as it goes. And I already have the program on here that's going to count how long it takes me to go from 0 to 60. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to acceleration here, and it's going to measure as soon as I start pulling away. That all-wheel drive grip just kicks in. Oh, it just absolutely flies. No drama whatsoever. It's very, very easy to do a launch in this car. The one thing is there's no launch control or anything else like that, so you might have heard that beep there. I tried to do a brake stand on it, and it just cut power before we started moving. But even that, even with what I would call a not so good launch, that was a 4.37 second run to 60. It's faster than you're gonna do in most sports cars and most muscle cars. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one more try here while we're in Sport Plus mode with the traction off. Come on. There it goes. You feel a little bit of lag on the beginning, and then once those turbos kick in, it's all gone from there. This thing really throws you back in your seat. It's not particularly savage. It's not like a Huracan or anything with launch control that's really gonna, hurt you. It's not like a Tesla, but it is pretty fast. The fastest I've managed to do is pretty much a 4-second flat 0 to 60, although I think if you're a very skilled driver and you know how to launch this car, Mercedes says you should be able to do it in about 3.5 seconds. And that's due to this amazing engine that's sitting up front. We've got a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's because this is the engine that Mercedes has been using on most of its new AMG products now. They still have the V12 that sits above this that's a little more powerful, but honestly that car has an old transmission and it's heavier, so if you want the fastest S-Class, this is the one you are going to want to buy. This engine is hand built, as all AMG cars are. AMG has a policy of one man, one engine, so this one was built by a man named Saeed Alemi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but I really like your work. You've built a fantastic engine here. It produces 603 horsepower and 664 foot-pounds of torque. That is world-changing numbers. That's unbelievable to think that you can buy a car, just a big comfortable car that you can drive around every day that has over 600 horsepower. This, you know, it was only so long ago that the hypercars, the Carrera GTs, the Ferrari Enzos, the Mercedes SLR McLarens of the world only produced near those numbers. So it's amazing to think that you can get a car with night vision and massaging seats and an automatic convertible top that can match those supercars from not that long ago. It's spectacular to believe. So now I put the car back into comfort mode so that I can tell you about the dual personality of the S63. Now you'd expect an AMG model to be quite harsh, and this one really just isn't. It's so comfortable. We have the air suspension, which is tuned to be a little stiffer than normal because we have the AMG. If you get a normal S-Class convertible like a 560, I think it'll be a little softer and a little more compliant, but this is not uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination. When you go through the different modes, the suspension does get a little bit stiffer in Sport Plus and Race mode. I have it now in its most comfortable setting, and there's minimal body roll. I've got the adjustable seats set so that the side bolsters move when I go through the turns, so I can feel the bolsters move to sort of hug me and keep me in the seat. These are some of the best seats that I've sat in recently. They're so comfortable. Of course, they have massage, ventilation, heating, all of that. The massage is not the best that I've experienced. I actually think Volvo's system gives you a little bit nicer of a massage, but beggars can't be choosers. But I guess beggars can be choosers, since you're paying $170, almost $180,000 for this car base. As we have it optioned here, it's $208,000. We have some options. We have the night vision camera. We have some additional carbon fiber. We have these additional brown leather seats that you can see behind me. It's kind of weird to pay extra for leather in a car that already costs $180,000, but my complaints with this car are extremely minimal. I think it could be a little bit bigger for people in the rear seat. This is quite a large car, and it really doesn't feel that much more spacious for 4 people than, say, a Mustang or some other 4-door, you know, 4-seater, 2-door coupes out there. And for the size, you would just expect it to be a little bigger and a little more practical. Now that I'm driving it comfortably, it's almost silent in here. It's just so quiet. If you let off the gas enough, it'll actually glide, and it won't use, it'll decouple from the transmission, so it'll glide almost as if it was in neutral. And when it does that, it's just so perfectly quiet in here. I'm driving along. It's about 1,000 RPM. I can pull up, I have all of these different displays here. I can pull up what gear I'm in. I'm currently in 6th gear at 45 miles an hour. It just shifted up into 7th. I did not feel it do that. and there's 2 more gears left to go. So this is the 9-speed automatic that's being found in a lot of Mercedes products now. AMG has a special tune on this one, so every once in a while I'll bring it to a stop, and the downshift from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1 isn't as smooth as it could be, but I really have almost no complaints with this transmission. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in race mode so that you can hear this real quick. It's not the loudest AMG car in the world. There are some louder ones. This is an S-Class after all, but when you stomp on it in its race mode, those shifts are lightning quick, and you hear that crack and popple when you let off the throttle. I'm gonna go ahead and downshift. You just hear it, bop, 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 bop. It is very, very loud on the outside. And when you're shifting it yourself, the power is just so immediate. I noticed that there's just ever so slight amount of lag. This is a lot of gears to get through, and it is a twin turbo car, so you are going to experience just ever the slightest amount of lag towards the bottom. But once you're at about 2,500 RPM, that lag just becomes erased, and this car just becomes a rocket ship. I'm gonna go ahead and downshift it. It's so fast. Downshift, you can see downshift, it shifts so quickly, this 9-speed. For an automatic transmission that's so comfortable most of the time, I really am taken aback by how quick this thing will shift in its race mode. It really is like you're driving 2 very, very different cars. I'm gonna go ahead and give it the beans again. Now the EPA says you'll get 15 miles per gallon city, 24 on the highway, which aren't too terrible for a 600 horsepower car. I've managed way less than that because that noise, that soundtrack is just too good to not drive this car like an absolute maniac. It really is kind of hard to drive it slow. You can, of course, put it in its comfort mode with the adaptive cruise control and all of those systems set and cruise around in perfect comfort. But it really just begs to be driven like that, like an absolute maniac. It kind of doesn't like going slow. It really loves going fast all the time. So it's kind of weird to buy such a comfortable, big cruising car with massage seats and all of that with this AMG engine. I think you actually, and now don't get too mad at me enthusiasts, you might be better off just saving your money and getting a regular S-Class convertible. The convertible is, you know, heavier and more, you know, it really doesn't make as much sense to get AMG. If you're going to get the Cooper, the sedan, maybe, I think it makes a little more sense, but you're never going to track this car, so the AMG is a bit silly, but oh so nice. I'm going to go ahead and drop the top here so that you can experience what it's like with the roof down. These windows are super thick. They're actually double paned glass, meaning that it's really 2 pieces of glass kind of glued together to be extra thick. That's what makes this car just so darn quiet. It's one of the most quiet convertibles that I've ever tested. I'm gonna go ahead and push this button. That's gonna put up our rear wind deflector. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use this button to close up all of our windows just so that we don't have too much window noise. And it's interesting because when you put the roof down on an S-Class, you're kind of losing some of the benefits of the comfort here. You're letting the environment, you know, come in and disturb you almost. It's very nice to have the sun, but with all the windows up and the deflector, it is very quiet in here. You really don't feel too much wind buffeting. It's very smooth, even at highway speeds. I really like it, and the reason why it's nice to put the top down is now I can really hear that exhaust at full tilt. You can just hear that all day long with the roof down. It is absolutely incredible, and that's something you'll miss a little bit with the coupe. I guess you could sort of get the full effect if you lower the windows, but that soundtrack is just absolutely worth hearing. It has a very cool mode, so I'll go ahead and put it in 5th. If I just hold the downshift pedal, it'll downshift as much as possible. So that just went from 5th to second in almost no time. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in 6th gear now. Just hold that paddle, 3rd gear, instantly. It goes from 6th to 3rd like that. It's an extremely fast transmission. You really don't have to wait long. When you're in comfort mode, you have to wait just a little bit, but when you're shifting it yourself, oh my gosh, that transmission is just so savage, so quick. It can handle those downshifts as quick as you'd want it. So here comes the ultimate question here. Is this car really worth $208,000? And you know, part of me wants to say no, because you could save money and you could get the regular S-Class and you really don't need this AMG. However, this car kind of does everything. I would take this car from Florida to California and drive it all the way back. I wouldn't mind doing that because it is that comfortable, it is that fast, it has all of the autonomous features. I can go ahead and set the steering so that it basically drives itself. You do have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it's so relaxing to drive this car on the highway that I wouldn't mind doing it coast to coast. And you really just you fall in love with the speed. You really just don't want to give it up. So is this car worth $200,000? I mean, there are other cars in this segment that are way more expensive than this. A Ferrari Portofino is going to be much more expensive than this. A Bentley Continental convertible, even the V8, let alone the W12, is going to be a lot more expensive than this. The new Aston Martin DB11, that's going to be way more expensive than this. The Rolls-Royce Wraith, you're going to pay $100,000, maybe even $200,000 more than this car to get those. So when you think about it that way, with the cars that this car competes against, the $200,000 S-Class convertible might be the bargain out of all of them, which is kind of staggering to believe that a $200,000 car could ever be considered a bargain, but it really is. And it's not like I'm lacking for luxury in this car. I have the massaging seats, I have night vision, we have an optional extra on this car that we have 47 Swarovski crystals in each headlight. 47 crystals in each headlight. So it's not like the Mercedes S-Class is lacking on luxury. It's just a Mercedes. You can't go out and buy a $30,000 Bentley unless you're buying maybe a 20-year-old car. But a Mercedes, you can go out and buy a CLA, which only costs $29,000. So I think sacrificing that, a little bit of prestige, to buy this over the equivalent Bentley or Ferrari or Aston Martin, it's not much of a sacrifice. From where I'm sitting, the Mercedes S-Class is one of the most opulent, perfect cars that I have ever driven. And if you can afford it, by all means, you should definitely go for it. I think the coupe is just a little bit prettier in my mind without the roof being cut off, and you save a little bit of weight and it becomes a little bit faster. But you know, this convertible is not a bad way to go. You just get to enjoy that V8 soundtrack. And you know, as expected, this Mercedes is one of the most impressive cars that I have ever driven. Big surprise, right? If you've enjoyed this review and you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe to the Car Buzz Unboxing YouTube channel, and be sure to download our app on iOS and Android. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.